We're gonna do a coffee chit chat. And this is the third video that I've done like this, and I got such good positive comments from you guys like, let's do this again. So I have my Luke's coffee mug. If you don't know the Luke's reference, then we can't be friends. No, just kidding. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop into the video. When is the next Beers and Budgeting? Well, at the time of this recording, it's scheduled to go out, so it's already out. So go ahead and watch the latest one. It already came out. Age, I am 33, will be 34 in October. Crazy. Don't feel 33, 27, 26 maybe? Once you get past 25, it just like, it doesn't matter. you just really mentally, I feel like I'm just still in this like mid-20s. I don't know. I'm so thankful I came across your profile on social platforms. I love your videos. Thank you so much. That is so sweet. I love that. Okay, next question. Save money, refinance student loans, pay off student loans. What's the order? Okay, this is what I would do. Number one, make sure you have 2 to 3 months of living expenses set aside in a high yield savings account. That's kind of going to act as your starter emergency fund. Then, because the federal student loans are still on the interest and payment waiver until August 31st, it's possible that they're going to extend it again. I would focus on those private student loans that already have interest accruing on them. And so if those are the only 2 debts that you have, focus on paying down those private loans as much as you can, and then you'll be in a better position to make bigger payments towards your federal student loans. Okay, next question. Do you think you and Kyle want to have more kids? How would that impact you guys financially? Yeah, I think we definitely want one more, and only one more. And I think that would impact our finances. Anytime you add an additional family member is going to impact your finances. And what that would mean is we would have an increase in childcare costs, which would mean that we would have less in savings. So in order to balance that out, we would have to increase our salaries in order to meet the increase in childcare costs. Now, the way that it's been for us really is that our income has always increased over time. Think about it. When you're in your career and you're moving up or you switch jobs, you get promoted, your income always increases, right? In most cases. And so that's how I would kind of see that happening and balancing out the increase in childcare costs. Have you completely tabled the idea of buying a house? I think so. We'll revisit it next year with the Fed saying that they were going to do these interest rate hikes like 6 times throughout 2022, and I think they've already done it 3 times. Definitely 2 times already, and this last interest rate hike was 0.75%, which was actually more than what we had anticipated. With that going on, and mortgage rates continuing to increase, I think the housing market is going to just slow down slightly, and we're going to see prices stabilize. And so when I see that happen, I think that's when we'll revisit the conversation. Otherwise, we're still saving as much as we can towards the down payment and really building that up. With the looming recession, should I be aiming to save cash or invest while the market is down? Well, here's the way that I look at it. Cash that's sitting in a bank account is actually losing value because inflation is increasing faster than what the interest that your money is earning in a savings account, bank account. And so if you have, this is kind of all like situational, right, depending on where you're at, but if you have your emergency fund set up, if you have a debt-free plan in place, if you have all of your monthly basic living expenses covered, and you still have some discretionary income left over, or maybe there's room to bump up the amount of contributions you can make to like a 401k, I would say this is a great time to get into the market while everything is at a discount and on sale. You know, when stock prices are falling, a lot of people want to get out, but now would be the time to get in at that discount and see it rise over time. Whew, this next comment. We can't afford to buy a house while I have friends who just purchased a lake house. Help, I feel terrible. Comparison sucks. Comparison does suck. I feel you on that. We have friends that we have multiple friends who are high income earners. Think like top 5%, top 1% income earners. And we've seen them purchase beautiful homes or take very lavish vacations while we're kind of still stuck here trying to figure out what we're doing and various living expenses. And so I think for me, when I get into that comparison mode, is I try to pull it back into putting the blinders on what my particular financial goals are for my family. And that is maxing out our retirement accounts at every opportunity, because Kyle and I want to live off of our investments early on. We would love to retire early. I also like to focus on what actually truly brings me joy. Is it a big house, or are we content with where we're at right now? I have to say, being in San Diego, while it is very expensive, there are so many experiences that we have been able to partake in because we live in such an amazing area. And so when I think about those things that truly bring me happiness, of like, yes, I have my retirement account maxed out. Yes, I am contributing to my child's college 529 plan, and yes, I'm taking advantage of where I'm living at currently and really enjoying this experience, because I know all experiences are fleeting. And it's just like, I say this all the time, it's just like waves that come along the beach. It's your job to find a wave and catch it. But again, remember, all waves eventually hit the sand and they hit the shore and they just roll back out. So it's up to you to find the next wave. And so remember, like, ride that wave that you're on. Could be a bad one, could be a good one, but make the most of it, because that's where the growth is. Is it okay to have more than one Roth IRA with two different companies? Okay, I had to look into this one for you, and I'm glad that I did, because yes, you can have more than one Roth IRA. Let me show you this. All right, so you can have more than one Roth IRA. And according to this website, you can have more than one Roth IRA. You can open more than one Roth at any time. There is no limit to the number of Roth accounts you can have. However, no matter how many Roth IRAs you have, your total contributions cannot exceed the limits set by the government. And this year for 2022, the contribution limits to a Roth IRA are $6,000. So regardless if you have one Roth or five, you can only contribute $6,000 in the year. And if you contribute 6 all to one, then that means the other 4 you can't contribute to. And I like how they asked this question in this article: why would a person want more than one Roth? You save for different purposes. I think this one's, no. This is nutty. It says you may use one for retirement income and the other for emergency funds, and please do not put your emergency fund money inside of a Roth. One, if it's truly an emergency, it would be very hard to get that money out. Plus, if you're withdrawing before the age of 59 and a half, you incur a 10% early withdrawal penalty. Nobody wants that. The second and the third make more sense to me. You want to diversify your portfolio. You want to increase your insurance protection. Okay, maybe. I don't know how often that actually happens. And then simplify your inheritance. So, okay, if you plan on leaving some of your savings investments to loved ones, having multiple IRA accounts can simplify the process. I honestly would just stick with one if you can, or combine them. But if you have two with two different companies, I think that's okay for now. Okay, this person says they have $15,000 emergency fund plus $10,000 in additional savings. Should they pay off $10,000 in federal student loan, then rebuild the savings? Whoo! I love this. Are the federal student loans your only debt? If so, yes. Pay that off. Pay it off. You will get that money back and then some. Imagine if when we hit this August 31st deadline and the interest and payment waiver stops and those payments start rolling up again. You're going to be in a much better place because you have dedicated to paying it off in full. I love that. Pay it off if that's your only debt. If it's not your only debt, I would focus on paying off the debt that has interest rates and interest accruing already on them, such as car loans, private loans, credit card debt, anything like that should definitely be addressed first in this situation. Okay, next question. Did you follow, this is completely different. Did you follow a schedule for Quinn? Yes. Of course. I'm type A all the way, so doing schedules is my jam. I also used to be a project manager back in my corporate days, so keeping like timelines and stuff is super important to me. I have read tons of stuff. I've read Taking Care of Babies for the Sleep Schedule and Feeding. And I also read a book called Secrets of a Baby Nurse that our friends gifted to us. And having a flexible schedule has been the most helpful for us. And then also 2 other rules that Kyle and I kind of abide by. Number 1, everything is an experiment. If something's not working out or you think something feels off, try something else. It's an experiment. Try it. You'll never know if you don't try. And number 2, sometimes you just gotta roll with it. You just gotta roll with it. Some days they're not going to take a 2-hour nap. Some days they won't nap at all. And you just gotta roll with it and say, you know what? I'm not going to get myself worked up about this. Instead, my plan B. So again, this is like planning. My plan B is we are gonna get out of the house. And I thought I was gonna go to the beach at 2. Now we're going now because she's awake. So that's my long and short of following a schedule. Yes, short is yes. Okay, back to money. How do I find a high yield savings account? Well, many online banks offer high yield savings accounts. I will point to an article that thecollegeinvestor.com wrote about just a list of high yield savings accounts, and I have this planned on my YouTube calendar to go ahead and do a video on that probably towards the end of the year so that we can see like the best high yield savings accounts for 2023. I personally have a high yield savings accounts, multiple ones with Ally Bank. Their interest rate is now at 0.9%. There are also other online banks such as Capital One and their 360 online savings accounts that I know other personal finance influencers are using and they love, and they also pay out a high interest rate. So those would be the 2 that I would look into first, and then I'll also link to that article for you. Next question, what do you think about I-bonds? Yeah, I mean I-bonds. What do you want to know? Let me show you. I wanted to go ahead and pull up Treasury Direct and show you what it looks like if you're interested in these I-bonds. Now, bonds in of themselves are not good ways to invest for retirement right now. As millennials, we still have 30 plus years work and income that we can accrue to put towards our retirement. And so if you're comparing bonds and things like index funds have a higher rate of return than bonds do. However, if you are wanting to use bonds as like a safe way to have cash on hand, then you could look into something like this. And so I wanted to pull this up for you and show you that this is crazy. The initial interest rate on new Series 1 savings bonds is 9.62%. You can buy bonds at that rate through October 2022. That is crazy high for bonds. Most bonds that I've seen, and I'm invested in some bond index funds through Vanguard, are going to pay out interest rates of like 3 to 5%. Now, that interest rate is going to fluctuate based upon how long you are holding those bonds. In this particular case for these treasury bonds here, you need to hold on to them for a minimum of 1 year. So you'll see this down here, redemption information. You've got to hold on to it for a year. The interest earning period is 30 years or until you cash them, whichever comes first. Big caveat to this. Early redemption penalties. Before 5 years, you forfeit interest from the previous 3 months. So any 3 months, and if it's truly at 9.6%, you're losing out for 3 months that could have earned. After 5 years, there are no penalties. And so if you're looking at these types of I-bonds right now and you want to maybe save for a house or a car or somebody's wedding, I don't know, something that you're saving for in 5 or more years, I-bonds might be a good way to protect your cash, and you'd see a really good rate of return right now. So it just depends on what you're saving for. But if it's for something 5+ years, think like midterm goals, like a house, a down payment, I'd definitely look into this. Do you think home prices will drop soon? First time home buyer here. Girl, I am with you. I don't know if we're going to see them drop. Maybe, potentially, depending on the area. I think we're going to see them stabilize, and we aren't going to see such a feeding frenzy where houses going way above asking on already inflated sales prices of homes that really aren't worth that much. So I think we're probably going to see that slow down come fall, winter, like towards the end of the year, hopefully. Next question, how to buy a home when we're climbing out of a credit hole? Oh my gosh. First of all, do yourself a favor and work on the credit hole and getting out of it. Adding a layer of stress of purchasing a home, especially in this job market, is not going to do you any favors. Plus, your mortgage rate and your terms are probably not going to be very good if your credit is bad. So I would really focus on the debt-free journey. Focus on making your payments on time. You're gonna have to work at this depending on what your credit is right now. You're going to have to work at this for, possibly 2-3 years to really get this back up to a healthy, positive one. And then you'll be in a better position to get after that mortgage and get after that home. I know that probably sucks to hear, but honestly, I think you would have a really difficult time finding mortgage rates that are favorable, and you'd really just really feel the pinches of a high monthly mortgage payment and still like a really bad credit score. I just don't know if it's worth it. How do you like Mint Mobile? Thinking of switching? Loving Mint Mobile. First of all, it's been amazing. The whole transfer process from my old carrier was seamless. I didn't have to talk to anybody. The only thing that I have noticed about this is like FaceTimes are sometimes spotty. And so they're not always clear. They can come in a little pixelated. I don't know if that has anything to do with my phone, because I have an iPhone 10 and it's just really been kind of wonky lately, but otherwise it's been great. The service has been fine and I haven't had any connectivity issues. Definitely am loving it, recommending it. I will put a link below for you to check out and learn more about Mint. Also, they just introduced, which I love, they just introduced the new unlimited plan for $15 per month for new customers. So you definitely got to check it out. I just started my new job and all I have is $20,000 of student loan debt. Hooray. Should I try to pay it off as soon as possible? Yes. Yes, if you have, okay. Let's follow the steps. Number one, you need to make sure that you have an emergency fund set up. The way that I like to build this up over time is to have 2 to 3 months of living expenses set aside in a high yield savings account. Now you can start small from there if you want to start like, okay, my first benchmark is $1,000, then 2 to 3 months of expenses. And then after you pay off the debt, go back to the emergency fund and build it up to a fully funded emergency fund of 6 months. Now I did extensive research on emergency funds and I will link to that video up here and why I feel that 6 months is the sweet spot for a fully funded emergency fund. But yeah, dude, get after that student loan debt. I think that would be amazing to have that all paid off. I got a few more questions here. Let's take a sip of our coffee. What does childcare look like for you? Nanny or daycare cost? We have a full-time in-home nanny whom we pay a competitive rate of $19.50 an hour. I love having a in-home nanny. I feel like my daughter is getting the one-on-one attention, learning, and development. Like, our nanny is not just Quinn's playmate, she's also her teacher. And so she has really taken to teaching her various developmental activities that are age appropriate. She's also teaching Quinn not just English, but also Spanish words. And they're also organizing play dates throughout the day with other neighborhood kids. So Quinn is getting that exposure to a few kids in the neighborhood. She's also getting that one-on-one attention. And in times of a pandemic, I felt way more comfortable having her here and having reliable childcare versus a daycare. Now, eventually, as she gets older, then we'll probably think about moving her into a school. But for right now, I'm so happy. It is a big expense for us. It is well worth it, and because we're debt-free, this is something that we've emphasized in our budget and we've accommodated for because it matters that much to us. Opinion on Rich Dad Poor Dad advice. You know, I read this book and I really loved what he was saying. Also, that book was written so long ago when I feel like real estate investing was much more accessible to get into, especially like now. So the premise of this book is, you know, Robert Kiyosaki said that his dad helped him figure out like how to grow these businesses and grow money, and doing that through investing in real estate and purchasing up these homes and you know, renting them out or whatever. And so I just feel like I love the idea. Absolutely. It is extremely difficult to do in today's market. So I'd be very curious to hear what he has to say now with the advice that he gave back then on that book. Next thing, I'm loving your outfits. Where do you shop? Thank you. It's so nice. Today's outfit is sweatshirt and biker shorts. I shop at Target. I shop Aerie.com. I love Aerie, and Old Navy. And honestly, sometimes I just scroll the Like to Know It app, and I've followed a couple of influencers over there and just kind of gotten a sense. My sisters are really amazing at fashion. I do not consider myself in the fashion realm at all, but what I've gathered about my style, this is also key, understanding what your style is. What do you wear the most of? So that kind of for me is 3 things. I do casual, like this is casual. I do mom outfits and mom outfits aren't as like unsexy as what you're thinking in your mind, right? Mom outfits for me are leggings with pockets so I can put my phone or my keys in them, and then something that is like maybe like an oversized t-shirt or even this like sweatshirt, something that I don't mind that gets dirty or that is comfortable to wear, and investing in a really good pair of sneakers. I just got these pair of white Nikes with the translucent swoosh on them, like really casual. Obsessed with them. They're lightweight and I love putting those on. So casual, mom casual, and then like date night. Date night where I like to get dressed up, maybe a cute top, a pair of like skinny jeans, really nice shoes, that sort of thing. And I'm mainly shopping Target, Old Navy, and Aerie. And Lulu's for like the cuter, like sassier stuff. That's pretty much it. Okay. Cash out loan versus home equity loan to build. Is neither a choice? I want to know more about this situation. Cash out loan, no. Home equity loan, I'm not a fan of. You're borrowing against yourself to build. And are you thinking that like the build would add value to your home later on? And then how long are you planning on being in that home so that you could see a return on the money that you put into it? Is there a way you can cash flow this at all? Whenever I'm thinking about home improvements or purchasing a car or any kind of bigger event that takes more cash, I'm saving cash as much as possible. And so I wonder, tying this into the previous question on I-bonds, could you actually just plan to do a reno in 5 years, really grow that money in an I-bond, and you would be better off and have the cash? Something to think about. Okay, next one. I'm so torn between buying a car now. I really need a hybrid, but they're all so expensive. Last year, it was reported that used cars increased in price by 40%. That is nuts. I cannot believe that used cars are that dang expensive. I would be curious to know how long can you last in your current vehicle, and what's your savings amount for the car right now? What's your budget for the car? I have a whole video on how you can put together savings for things like a car. I will link to this up here in this video so that you can check that out. And last question, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Well, hopefully I have a house. Hopefully the Debt-Free Millennials brand grows and becomes just kind of like this mega thing, like, oh, Debt-Free Millennials. Yes, I've heard of that. I know that. That would be really cool. And also I hope that we have another child. Oh my God, in 10 years, Quinn would be over 11 years old, and hopefully we would have another kid, and hopefully we are taking fabulous family vacations across the world, and that we have a great home here. I mean, yeah, I can really see it. I love dreaming about like futuristic stuff like this. Me and Kyle, we always talk about this stuff. We call them our patio chit chats, cocktails and patio, sit out there and just dream. This was so much fun, you guys. I love doing these videos. They're always kind of long, but hopefully you got something out of it. I certainly do. I love answering these questions and just chatting with you about life. I'm an open book. As always, give this one a big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, what? Are we even friends? I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.